when you look at this 2025 NBA draft class, if you've looked at any of it at all, you've seen the hashtag capture the flag. Cooper Flagg is a big deal. Best college prospect since I don't know when, but it's not just him. I mean, we got the chase for Ace. I mean, we got Play Sore for Traore. We play for VJ. I don't know what you think, but there's some guys in this draft.
You came prepared. You came prepared with all the hashtags and everything. I mean, you know what? Even if you don't get the number one pick, Raptors fans, Gil just gave you a couple of hashtags that you can look forward to for other players in this draft class. But yeah, I mean, you know, it's an exciting time to be a college basketball fan, especially coming off of a 2024 NBA draft class that, you know, was not very highly touted and honestly has not made a very major impact at the NBA level just yet. I mean, Zach Edey finally had a big game last night. We've seen, you know, spurts from guys like Ryan Dunn. Jalen Wells has been playing pretty good for the Memphis Grizzlies. You know, it's not necessarily the names that you were expecting to see. You know, Risa Shea is starting to figure it out. Alex Sarr is starting to figure it out. It's going to take some time for that draft class, but then you go to a draft class like the 2025 draft, and there are probably 6 guys in this draft class that I would feel pretty confident would have been the number one overall pick in last year's draft. And it all starts at the top with Cooper Flagg. You know, he is every bit of what he is hyped to be. You know, for anybody that says that he's not, they probably just haven't seen him play enough, and he's going to prove it real quick at Duke in that spotlight. You know, there's going to be a lot of nationally televised games, a lot of eyes on him, and you're going to get plenty of opportunities to see just how talented he is. But, you know, I mean, this is a kid who's 6'8", 6'9", depending on where you're looking at, you know, how he's listed. He's a fluid ball handler. His calling card is on the defensive end. He's tremendously athletic. He's an unbelievable shot blocker. I really feel like his defense is what makes him that next level prospect that he is, but then also being able to knock down the three, create his own shot, play physical with an attitude in the paint. You know, I almost want to whisper this, but I've said it in the past. Like, my best NBA player comparison for Cooper Flagg would be like a Kevin Garnett-esque. And that's like really, really tough to say because of obviously how unique that Kevin Garnett is as a player. But I really do see like a lot of similarities in the way that he moves out there and the the ferocity that he plays with, the attitude that he plays with. And you know what, to me, like if Kevin Garnett had played in this era, he would have been playing more on the perimeter the way that we see with Cooper Flagg, but still being able to get his back to the basket and get shots like that. So, you know, if you haven't had a chance to watch Cooper Flagg yet, you know, carve out some time, look at that Duke schedule. If you're a Raptors fan, especially, and you know, you think you guys might have a shot at the number one pick, like it is worth tuning in because he is every bit as advertised.
Yeah, that's one of those guys where it don't matter what fit is. You get the number one pick, you draft him, and you figure it out as you go. I know I mentioned at the top of the show, Champions Classic. Duke is playing Kentucky, now coached by Mark Pope, and that's Tuesday, November 12th, 9 p.m., wherever you can catch Champions Classic, but it'll be available to watch. One thing I want to say about him is kind of caught me off guard. You know, we talk about comparing him to KG, which I think is an apt comparison because I've watched him play. I think he had 18 points, 7 boards, 5 assists in his debut against Maine. He's from Maine, and Maine obviously isn't the strongest. The main event, great nickname. You know, not the strongest competition, but his ability to play make and those things. But looking at Duke's roster, he's listed as a shooting guard, small forward. So you got this guy who's 17 years old still, by the way, doesn't turn 18 till December, 6'9", probably not done growing, and he is naturally listed as a 2-3. That says all you need to know about Cooper Flagg and what he is and that attitude that he plays with. You know, there's videos of him, you know, being just really confident, and you can hear it in the trash that he talks and the way that he goes about himself. He played on the United States select team against Team USA to prepare them for the Olympics in 2024 at 17 years old. So again, that says all you need to know about Cooper Flagg. I'm just going to say the other 5, I mentioned their hashtags already. The other 4 guys I have who I think, and I think you might agree, are head and shoulders as the best 5 guys in this class. And we'll talk much more about this draft class when we get closer to March Madness and closer to the NBA draft, when you'll really be locked in on those guys. But Ace Bailey at Rutgers is going to be playing next to Dylan Harper, who is the son of 5-time champion Ron Harper and former Raptor Ron Harper Jr. Nolan Traore is playing in France. So you won't see him in college basketball, but the pipeline from LMB Pro A continues. We saw the last 2 number 1 picks come from that league. So more there. VJ Edgecombe, they got smoked on their first game of the season, but my goodness, he might have had the dunk of the year, the first game of the year, jumped over Mark Few's son and just put his otherworldly athleticism and and Cooper Flagg obviously is number one. So those are the five guys that we've talked about them a lot before, even looking ahead to this 2025 NBA draft class. But I think those are guys who you know who they are and you know the type of impact they're going to make as soon as they get to the next level. And then it's just a matter of seeing how it plays out from there.
Yeah, I really am looking forward to watching more of Ace Bailey and Dylan Harper, just because I feel like I didn't watch a ton of them in high school, but both of them playing in the Big Ten, where we've talked about it before. I'm a big Maryland fan, so being able to tap in and watch them in Big Ten competition, I'm really looking forward to seeing, especially what those guys can do. Too. Exactly. Yeah. Maybe I have to check the schedule. They might even come out to USC or UCLA, and maybe I'll have to go catch them in person. But like, those are two tremendously talented players, and to be able to have two guys on the same team like that will take a lot of pressure off of each other. So I'm excited to see how they work alongside each other. But VJ Edgecombe is someone who, I've been harping on for a little bit now. I feel like he's really, he is starting to assert himself into being a certified top 5 prospect in this draft class. But, he's a kid that was honestly like dominating when he was on the court this past summer for the Bahamas. And, he's playing alongside guys like Buddy Hield, Eric Gordon, DeAndre Ayton. And they're like, they're giving him the ball and getting out of the way. And he's still only 17 years old. Maybe he's 18 by now, but either way, teenager, young prospect, true freshman. Baylor got blown out last night, and he didn't have a great shooting night, but you saw the athleticism on the highlight that everybody has seen at this point. I would assume if you haven't seen it, go look up VJ Edgecombe dunk. It is something for sure. The poor walk on that got the brunt end of that, but it is like that sometimes. But just tremendously athletic player, good shot creator, good mid-range jump shooter. You got to fine-tune the jump shot a little bit more, but that's going to come over time. He's physical. He's not someone who's jacked out, but he's someone who plays physical, plays with an attitude. Again, I really think that he's going to have a strong year. And then, Nolan Traore is a tremendous playmaker. He's someone who you're probably not going to see a lot of because he is playing in LMB Pro A. But, there are a lot of people who feel like he is the future of France's backcourt now that, guys like Evan Fournier have moved on. So, he's someone to keep an eye on as well. But, keep it locked in here. And Gil and I will be talking prospects all year long as they're popping up around college basketball, especially with my guy Gil diving into some more NBA draft coverage.
Yeah. Quick aside. Well, a quick point on top of that. You think about Wemby, Coulibaly in 2023. This past year, Risa Shea and Tijan Salon, but also Alexander Sarr, another French guy, and now Traore. We saw France come up short in the gold medal game in 2024. All these guys are going to be 24, 25, 26 years old, and Bilal Coulibaly is having a breakout second season, by the way.
He's been a star.
France basketball on the absolute rise. One quick note on Ace Bailey. I watched him. Rutgers had their preseason exhibition against St. John's. He's 6'10" and just smooth. Tough shot maker, which is always kind of, interesting territory for a player that's young because sometimes they think tough shots are good shots because they can make them. But the fact that he can make them speaks to his skill level as a 6'10", 2-3, legit, again, speaks to the direction that the game is going. So much potential, can add to his frame, defensive potential, athleticism. He checks those boxes. So again, for Rutgers to have 2 potential top 3 picks in this draft it seems like, kind of uncharted territory for Rutgers. You could think back to the Quincy Doobie days or whoever it was. They weren't doing it like these guys are doing it at Rutgers now. So that's big. One quick one. I don't know if there's any other names. I'll say 2 that I want to shout out that aren't in the top 5, but Con Knipple, I think, is a big time guy. You'll tune in to Duke and they have so much talent across their roster, but I also got to give a shout out to Illinois' Will Riley, or should I say Kitchener, Ontario's Will Riley. I think he had 31 in his college debut, was just went crazy against Eastern Illinois, but still 31 points. He could be the next from that Kitchener to NBA pipeline. We've seen what Jamal Murray has done with the Nuggets. So 2 names, I think, again, if you want to be watching college basketball this year, 2 names to keep an eye on.
One that I had too that I was really high on. I thought he might have declared for the draft last year, but he decided to go back to school. Was Colin Murray Boyles out of
Yeah.
South Carolina. And again, like, we're talking about that mold of the next generation of NBA players. Like, that is, I think he's listed at like 6'9", maybe even 6'10", but he's a fluid wing. He truly plays like the small forward position. He plays a little bit of power forward for them just because of his size, but he's a fluid wing. He's really, really, really good on the defensive end. Solid scorer. So he's another name to watch if you're tuning into SEC basketball at all this year. I feel like he's someone who, I don't know exactly what his projected range is right now on most mock drafts, but it would not shock me at all if he's someone who's knocking on the door of lottery territory by the end of the season.
Yeah, it's early, but I'm seeing a lot from Murray Boyles between like 10 and 25. So he could be a guy who could really help himself this upcoming season. Not a lot of eyes on South Carolina basketball, typically, or men's basketball. Their women's team went 38-0 last year. But he's working to put a name for himself. And a quick note, they are playing at Boston College in the ACC SEC Challenge this year. So maybe I'll have to go and check that out.